Let me ask you something. Have you ever posted a video you thought would pop off and then crickets? No comments, no leads, not even your mum hit the like button. Welcome to Monday Night Live, guys. I'm Nathaniel Bibby. We're going to talk about videos that sell tonight. It's a hot topic. People are always asking me about videos. And listen, if that happened to you and you posted and nobody liked your video, it's not because your content sucks, okay? It's because most people, including smart, experienced entrepreneurs, are still making videos like it's 2016. The game has changed. You know, they think that getting likes or chasing reach or going viral is the goal, but those things are just noise, okay? Hey, before we get started, shout out to all of the fathers out there. It was Father's Day in Australia yesterday. I've got my mug here from my daughter Brooklyn, which is great. It's even got drawing on the inside, which means I can't actually use it. And we've got some comments coming through. Yes, I can't actually use it, but it's here for show, and that's the main thing. Tonight, I'm going to show you how to build authority with video. So your ideal clients will chase you. We're nearly done with 2025. And the digital landscape is shifting faster than ever. AI tools are everywhere, making it easier to create perfect content quickly, right? But they can't replace the genuine connection that comes from a real human on screen. And that's why I believe that creating video content to build your brand is going to be one of the most important skills to gain a competitive edge in 2026 and moving forward. I mean, it already is, but that trend is just going to accelerate faster than a rat up a drain pipe. All right. Before we get cracking, I want to just acknowledge one of the comments here. I haven't actually read it yet. Hey, mate, how are you? I noticed your activity has been quite low this week. Are you going through, well, it's early to call me on my activity for the week. We're only on Monday. No, I haven't disappeared. I'm right here. I'm going to be posting just as heavy as ever. I thought videos are for Instagram. Yeah, look, that's what happens with social media is like the trend is generally LinkedIn is behind the other social platforms. And, you know, whoever's leading the trend, most recently, it's more likely to be TikTok. Like you can see when something's working on one social platform, slowly all the other ones adopt what they're doing. And Instagram's one of the leaders. And LinkedIn's only quite new to the vertical video feed. Like we used to make videos in square format. Now we're doing them vertical, you know, for mobile devices. Because even though there's like a certain percentage of people, and I think it's like 13 or 15% that actually use LinkedIn on a desktop, most of those people aren't consuming content. Right? They're not consuming content. They might be updating their profile or posting or doing research, but the people that are consuming content, they're almost all on your mobile. So you've got to cater for that with your optimization, right? Hazel, nice to see you here. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Hey, drop in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. It's always good to network in the comments, guys. One of the most powerful things about LinkedIn is getting to know people in the comments. You know, so start the conversation. Let us know where you're tuning in from. If you haven't come across me before, this is Monday Night Live. My name is Nathaniel Bibby. It's not your average content tips live stream. We go deep, we go real, we go tactical. I'm not here to sell you anything. It's not a webinar with some big pitch at the end. I'm here to deliver value, and I do this every single week with the idea being that if you come every week, like in 6 months' time, your business will look completely different, okay? So I've actually generated over 650 million in sales for my clients using LinkedIn over the last 12 years, one of the first LinkedIn marketing agencies, well, the first outside of the US. So we've been doing this a long time. So I'm here to share some of that experience with you. And yeah, once again, big shout outs to all the dads and happy Father's Day. Okay. So tonight I'm lifting the hood on what actually works. So to make videos, not just get views and likes and comments, which is nice, but we want them to sell, right? What does my t-shirt say? Likes don't pay the bills. Okay. We want stuff to map back to return on investment. And listen, I don't care if you're shy on camera, just getting started, already crushing it, you know, want to scale, because the content and frameworks we're covering, I mean, they will change everything. You're all guaranteed to learn something. So drop in the comments, you know, make this as active as possible. Like research shows that the more active you are and more engaged you are, the more you're going to learn. So let's get ready to level up, okay? So a client said to me last week, Nat, I've tried video, it just doesn't work for me. And I get it. I do get it. I've been there. When I first started shooting videos, I posted for about 18 months with zero traction, okay? And everyone around me said, what are you doing, mate? No one's watching those videos. But I knew something different, something they didn't. Well, I didn't quite know it at the time. It's nice to say I know now. I kind of was hoping that this was right, and I found out it was. But the goal wasn't views. The goal was authority. So today I get millions of views every year. And more importantly, we're converting those into leads, clients, and real return on investment. Let me tell you a quick story about how powerful LinkedIn video really is, okay? So a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I was at the airport just minding my business, waiting to board a flight, and suddenly I just heard someone yell out, "Hey, Nathaniel!" And I turned around, and this guy that I didn't recognize, it was actually a security guard at the airport, came up to me like we were old friends. Turns out he'd been watching my LinkedIn videos for months. He knew who I was, what I did, even referenced specific stories, and we had never met, but he felt like he knew me, okay? Now, I'm not saying that necessarily was a business opportunity, but that's never happened from a blog post or for me posting something with a picture. That sort of connection and that sort of recollection only comes from video. And that's the magic of video. It creates relationships at scale. When prospects reach out, they already trust you. They're not comparing quotes. I remember what it was like 12 years ago plus when I was selling digital marketing. They would get 3 or 4 service providers, get the proposals in, and then they would kind of compare. And you kind of hope that they chose you based on how good your sales presentation was. That doesn't really happen anymore. Very rarely. Most of the time when people reach out to me, they've been watching my content and already trust me, and therefore I'm the person they've already decided to use. And price is not such a big issue, okay? It's fantastic. Who else we got here? We got Elena here. Nice to see you. We got Melbourne in the house. What's happening? Dropping in from Sydney. Hey, Steve, how are you? Good to see you here, mate. Got Bangladesh in the house, of course. Crystal from DataFan Mumbai. Welcome. Awesome. Good to see you here, guys. Thanks for being here live. I have got a couple of free downloads to give you at the end of the session for sticking around, so stay tuned for that. And that will help with your video. I've got one document which gives you 100 hooks you can use to capture attention at the start of your video. Very important. Okay. All right. Well, I've created a program recently called LinkedIn Video Secrets, which is a step-by-step system to help you scale up on video. So it's kind of fresh in my mind. And that's why I wanted to do this webinar, or this live, I suppose. But I want to start with the brain science of video sales, okay? So the brain generally buys in 3 phases. 1, emotion, right? Emotion. So people always say, "Oh, is it logic or emotion?" Look, it's emotion first, okay? When they need to feel seen in your story, and they need to know that the story is for them, the video is for them, right? It's very important. So think about who you're targeting. It's very important. Number 2 is logic. So they have to understand how your solution works. So it's backing up the emotion, right? So they use logic to justify the decision. And 3 is safety. So safety is, do they believe that they can trust you to deliver? And we're talking about buying here, right? The action of buying. These are the 3 things that need to happen for people to buy. Doesn't necessarily have to be a pitch. Now, most people get this backwards. What do I mean by that? Well, they start with logic. Oh, they say our process is proprietary and data-driven, and they talk at the customer, right? Or the viewer, okay? The thing is, they're not going to listen to them. It's just psychology. No one cares. Like, that's why when you see a really good coach, they're constantly asking questions, because it only matters what the actual student remembers. And so in order for them to actually learn, you need to get them to say stuff back to you. Most of the learning that happens is not actually when you're in a classroom listening to the teacher. It happens afterwards, when you have a moment to yourself to actually put the strings together and come up with your own understanding of it. That's how people learn, okay? So you want to ask questions, and you want to get people in the story so they start doing that learning action, because people don't buy because of logic. They buy because of emotion. They justify with logic. Let me give you a real life example, right? Let me just tie this all together. So have you ever bought something expensive that you didn't really need, and then later told your partner, "Oh, babe, it was on sale"? That's emotion leading the charge, and logic cleaning up the mess, right? I remember going to a James Bond film, and I thought, "Oh yeah, you know, this guy's driving an Aston Martin. He gets all the girls. He's got the Amiga watch." And I walk out of the cinema, and as I'm walking through the shopping center, there it is in the window. Same Amiga watch that James Bond had. You know, it was $10,000. And I thought, "Oh, forget that Amiga watch. Maybe I'll just feel a little bit more like James Bond." That's why companies spend billions of dollars just literally to place products in movies and things like that. Emotion, okay? So if you're wondering, like, we're going to cover storytelling. I think that's really important. Before we move on, let me just address one of these questions here. So, okay, I want to make sure we keep on top of these. So what should LinkedIn videos be like? How long should they be? How should I post them? Should they be service related, and what kind of content? That's a lot of questions. We're going to cover some of that in the content. In terms of the length, it's how quick, however long it takes for you to deliver the value, right? And I think you focus on one key topic. So ideally, if you can do it within a minute, that's best, right? Your videos will do better if you get a high average view duration. So if your video is only 20 seconds and people watch the whole thing, that's really good. It'll do really well in the algorithm, right? So you just don't want any fluff in there. Like when you've done it, if it's a minute and a half, is there anything that doesn't have to be in there to make the story make sense? Take it out. For LinkedIn video, right? Longer form video is suitable for YouTube. You'll notice all these Monday Night Live episodes will end up on YouTube, and then the clips that are made from this long form content are actually posted on LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. But LinkedIn's where I get all the business, guys. That's 100% true. 80% of decisions are emotional. Okay, so here are what the numbers say. See if I can get this right. LinkedIn video views are up 36% this year. Comments are up 32%. Live video, 7 times more reactions, 24 times more comments. Because text is becoming more invisible, like video connects. And if you ever watch any content on LinkedIn's YouTube channel or something on LinkedIn, where I saw the head of strategy was interviewed recently by Stephen Bartlett, you know, the guy that has the podcast Diary of a CEO. Love that podcast. He interviewed the head of strategy from LinkedIn, and all she was talking about is video. It's really important. They're leaning into this big time. If LinkedIn are talking about it, it means they're going to be pushing it harder, trying to adopt people to use it. The thing is, guys, only 1% of LinkedIn members are posting content. Only 1%. That's so low. The opportunity is huge. And still, organic is like 66% of the feed. Like you notice, it's organic, like a free. When I say organic, I mean free. They're not paying for an ad. So it's a free post, and then an ad normally. So 2 out of 3 posts that you're seeing in the feed are free. And only 1% of LinkedIn users are taking advantage. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold today. But some great questions there. Okay. Video is the #1 B2B content format globally right now. It's not theory. This is the market speaking. All the marketers in B2B are leaning heavily into video content. So I've got a 5-part video framework that I created for LinkedIn Video Secrets, my online course, which you can check out at bibby.consulting/secrets. So like, I create frameworks, right? So that it's easy to action. So here's my Bibby 5-part video framework. So when you're creating a video, you need a hook. You've heard people talk about this. You've got 3 seconds, really. You know how they used to say, if you're old enough to be around for when they used to say, the first 7 seconds when you meet somebody is so important to set a first impression. That doesn't happen in person anymore. It happens online. And most of the time it happens on LinkedIn. You've got 3 seconds. If you don't stop the scroll, nothing else matters. If you don't capture people's attention, nothing else matters. There's 2 things that we need here. For social media to work, 2 things you need for business to work. Attention and trust. You need attention and trust, right? So I'm talking about attention here. Like, how do you capture their attention? You've actually got multiple hooks. You've got a hook in the first 3 seconds of your video. You've got a hook in the first 2 sentences of your caption, the wording that goes with your video. And if you create a thumbnail, you can put a hook in your thumbnail as well. In your hook, in your video, if you don't stop the scroll, nothing else matters. So don't waste time introducing yourself. Start with a bang. What did I start with in this video? I would believe it was a question. I think I said, have you ever noticed that you posted and nothing happens, right? So immediately bringing you in and bringing you into the hook, and you kind of want to let people know what to expect, what the video is going to be about. And then 2, I would actually suggest going into story. So share a moment or a breakdown, a struggle, an epiphany, something authentic, because it's an emotional trigger. Vulnerability creates connection, and it builds incredible amounts of trust. I always start my keynotes with a vulnerable story because it immediately brings my audience in to go along the journey with me, and they kind of trust me. I'm going to go into how you can actually do this for your business shortly. Number 3 is value. Value. Give them a clear takeaway that they can implement pretty easily, like pretty fast, so they can get a win. Because if somebody gets a win, they're going to think, oh, wow, the free content got me a win. Imagine what the paid stuff's going to be like. So not generic advice, but something they can implement. And then number 4, proof, show how it works. So you want case studies, screenshots, all that sort of stuff. You're not going to always have this for every video, but it does help. Third-party endorsements make a big difference. And then 5th, call to action. So tell them what to do next. If you just do this minor thing, it'll increase the engagement on your videos by 3 times. All it is telling them to drop a comment or book a call or message you or view the profile. All of those actions are engagement actions. Even DMs, people don't realize this, but DMs on LinkedIn are an engagement action. Like if you get 10 comments and 10 DMs from a post, that's the equivalent of 20 comments, more or less. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but it's twice as much engagement. LinkedIn will look at the DMs and they treat that as an engagement metric. Isn't that cool? If I'm messaging you and you're messaging me privately in the inbox, that actually tells LinkedIn that you might be interested in my content and I might be interested in your content. That's a hack that nobody knows, right? Because what a powerful way. If you want someone to view your content, you could literally just private message them and they private message you back. Before you know it, you're having a conversation, bang, LinkedIn shows your content to them in the newsfeed. You're not pushing content on them. You're not sending it to them, but they're going to see it in the newsfeed and they'll probably be curious because you guys are having a conversation. So the more interactions you have with people, DMs, content, commenting on their stuff, the better. Okay. So there's two things that will turn all of what I just said into sales: consistency and confidence. I want to focus on the second one because I think that's where most people are struggling, right? Consistency, obviously 2 or 3 times a week is ideal. Okay. I know that's easier said than done, but what you want to do is batch create content. But let's talk about confidence because I think that's where most of you are getting stuck, right? Okay. We're going to get to your questions shortly. So when we're dealing with confidence on video, people say, oh, just start recording. That is not enough. Remember the first time you record a video, it's going to feel awkward, right? We're not used to it. We're not used to having a camera in our face. Doesn't mean you're failing. It just means that you're learning. You're trying something new. If it was easy, everyone would do it, okay? So the key is like confidence. It doesn't come before you start recording. It comes as a result of recording. I spent a year planning and prepping my YouTube channel before I finally hit record, and I still felt gut-wrenching nerves, but each video made the next easier. Now, if I started, instead of preparing for a year, I would have got there a lot quicker. So the mistake most people make is they quit at the first sign of discomfort. They take that awkward feeling as a signal to stop. Oh, I'm just not good on video. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want my company, I don't want to be the face of the company. Really, they're just afraid of what other people think, right? They're just afraid of what other people think. That's the truth. And it is normal. We all are. It's something you've got to work on. Competence builds confidence, right? And anyone that puts you down for being on front of camera is literally just dealing with their own insecurities about doing it. Okay. It's your brain adjusting to something new. You have to give yourself permission to be a beginner. It's okay to not be good. Hey, look, if it's not that good, no one's going to watch it because it won't get engagement. So don't worry about it. You just want to do the reps, practice. Okay. I've seen this with guys that have come to my seminars like 4 or 5 years ago, and I check out their LinkedIn profile and their Instagram page, and I'm like, damn, your videos got good. And a guy, Neil Gibb from HMO Property Co. in Perth, I said that to him recently, and he said, he asked a really good question. He said, what's the biggest thing that you think has changed? And I said, your confidence. And he's like, yeah, man. And he goes, that just comes from practice, right? So give yourself permission to be a beginner, to not be confident in front of the camera, to feel awkward and imperfect, because that's the place that most of your competitors quit. Okay. Don't overthink it. Perfection is the biggest enemy, right? It's procrastination. It builds barriers between you and your audience, making you less relatable. Perfection. Okay. So how do you be more confident on camera? Shift your perspective. This is what I do when I do my live talks, right? I focus on helping the audience rather than how I look and self-perfection. So you practice regularly as well to become comfortable. Obviously, you need to know your material, and that comes from practice, and be authentic, which will build trust. And you want to project confidence by turning up your energy, speaking clearly, and making the camera your friend, right? Looking straight down the lens by focusing on a single specific viewer. So when you're speaking to the camera, you don't want to act like you're speaking to 100 people, okay? Because that's what causes you to be nervous, right? You want to act like you're speaking to one person, and then you'll actually, because people aren't watching it in an auditorium. Generally, people are watching on their own. So you speak to somebody like they're on their own, right? And start with small, achievable steps, like celebrate your progress, and then you'll maintain motivation. And I think this applies to anything, not just video. But if you let your genuine personality come through, that's what will create trust and connection with your audience. So shift your attention away from yourself. How do I look or how I sound, and focus on the people that you're creating the video for. And think about how their lives will change when they receive your helpful insights. Your audience doesn't want a polished, perfect version of you. They don't. They want the real you, and your confidence will grow naturally as a byproduct. Okay. Now, storytelling. Okay. We'll just jump to one question here before we move on with storytelling. Guys, don't forget, you can ask any questions as we go. Agency name is Web Expert. We provide website development and graphic design global. Okay. Now, how can I grow my agency page and provide services effectively? This is everything we're covering now is how you can do that, right? This is what you need to be doing, incorporating storytelling into your content. Data and information, it might be tempting to throw this in there, but data convinces the mind, but stories move the heart. That's the only way people will remember your stuff. It's the only way, stories, okay? So I use this experiment a lot in my talks. Rob Walker, he bought 200 junk items at a thrift stores. They cost like $1 each. And then he asked writers, he got 200 authors to attach stories to each item so he could list them on eBay with a description with a story. So like one plastic horse head and he wrote a story about some old man that, I don't know, got it during the war. I can't remember what the story was, but he creates these stories. So he bought that horse's head for 99 cents. He sold it for $62.95. $62.95 because the story turned a piece of junk into value. Okay. So like that 200 items that he bought for $200, I think it was like something crazy. I can't remember exactly, but it was like $7,000 he sold it for or something like that. Crazy, right? And one of the things that Russell Brunson talks about is the epiphany bridge. So like if you're an expert at something or, you whatever you do, there was a time when you weren't an expert, right? Where you had the same problem that you solved for your customer. So take yourself back there and what could you remember about that time? How did you feel? Like what are the moments? How did it actually occur for you? Where were you? And then talk about the epiphany that you had that took you from, the problem to the solution, your epiphany. If you share your struggle, your turning point, and your breakthrough, you will close the gap for the audience. They will say to themselves, if it worked for them, maybe it can work for me. And that's why storytelling is not optional. It's the most powerful sales tool you've got. See, everyone thinks that sales is just about like pitching and ads. I tell you right now, I've got more sales from videos that I haven't pitched in at all. It's crazy. So drop your biggest learning so far into the comments. I want to see what they are. I'd love to hear your feedback. What's your biggest takeaway? Okay. Any more questions coming through, guys? On LinkedIn video, you need to have captions in your video. Okay. What I mean by captions, subtitles. If you go to Opus Clip, opus.pro, I think it is, just search on Google for Opus Clip. It's a fantastic piece of technology. If you get the paid subscription, what it'll actually do is take a long form piece of content like this. I use it for Monday Night Live. And it automatically, using AI, chops it up into like 20 or 30 short, 30 seconds to a minute long videos that I can use to post on LinkedIn. I can even schedule them if I want to. I don't, because I want to be there and show up for the comments, okay? But on this website, there's actually a free tool that does the captions for you automatically. AI does it. So you upload your little video and it'll put the captions in there. It will write the captions for you. It'll imprint them on the video. And they will have those cool animations like you see in my videos for free. You don't even have to join. So go to Opus Clip if you want to put captions in your video, because 80% of people are watching without any sound on. So if you don't have captions, even if people watch your video, they don't know what you're saying, right? I know that LinkedIn have the automatic captions, but there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, they're not always accurate. Second of all, they're small, Those animated captions actually keep people engaged because they're like watching the colors bounce around as the words come back and forth. They're not just simple black and white things down the bottom. Makes a huge difference, guys. Opus Clip, if you join, it actually cuts out the silences, the ums and ahs. Pretty powerful stuff. Being authentic beats pitching. Love it. Love it. Facts tell, stories sell. When you guys are posting content, right, you need to inject yourself into the post. You need to look at your post before you post it or your video and say to yourself, is this just generic advice that someone can get off of Google? Because if it can, then people aren't there to get that sort of generic advice, not just education. They also want to be inspired and they want to have a relationship. They want to connect. It's social media, right? So all you have to do is put a little bit in there about how you know this stuff. So like a statement that begins with I learned this through, 15 failed startups, or, I've trained over 40,000 business professionals and here's what I've learned. So that way they'll understand how you know the content. They need to understand the context. Does that make sense? I'm yet to start video contents. This is a motivation for me. I'm so glad, Crystal. That's what I'm here for. Motivation. Let's go. Guys, if you post like this week, I want you to post, right? This is my challenge to you this week. Post one video using the 5-part framework. If you can't remember what it was, this is recording will be up all week. So you can go back to the 5-part framework that I talked about with the hook, story, call to action, etc. Doesn't matter if it's perfect, just post it. It doesn't matter if it gets 3 views. I mean, if it's just practice, right? 3 views doesn't matter. Somebody watches it, great. If they don't, doesn't matter. Just post. If you want the shortcut to all of this, I'm opening the doors to LinkedIn Video Secrets. That's at bibby.consulting/secrets. Check that out. Hey, do you know what's exciting? And I haven't actually shared this with anyone yet, but if I do half a day's training with the company, like I work a lot in professional services, financial services, investment firms, it's like $10,000, and they get the whole team there, and I train them on everything to do with LinkedIn, and they walk away. Generally, they've already generated leads because we're doing execution. We're actually implementing, like getting all their profile done, getting their content plan done, writing their scripts for lead generation, all that stuff we do in there. And I've got some cool strategies for targeting, like with Sales Navigator and stuff. So what I've decided to do is, because like it's frustrating, we do this Monday Night Live stuff and it's very high level. Like we're not doing practical stuff here, right? It's high level, and then you've got to execute. Whereas like in the training, I do it with you. And so in November, I've decided to do an event. It's a new event called Likes Don't Pay the Bills online. It is paid. It's about $100 for a half day training, but it's like real strategy, real time execution. I've got it on Eventbrite right now. What's the link? It's bibby.consulting/bills, I believe. So check that out. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to move the needle with it, like $100. What a bargain. And that's all my training, like everything I do, with those corporate clients. And then if you guys want a freebie, I've got 100 free hooks to use in your videos. Just drop hooks in the comments and I will DM that to you. Probably tomorrow by now, if you want to get 100 hooks that you can use in your videos to stop the scroll. Okay, they boost retention immediately, because on average 50% of people will stop watching your video within 10 seconds. That's the average. So across all videos, after 10 seconds, 50% of viewers, they're gone. They're gone. So if what you do in that first 10 seconds isn't engaging, you're going to lose people. I will say most videos are rubbish though, so you don't have to do much. Just have a hook in there. I've got 100 that you can choose from. Just customize them for your industry, right? Make them yours. Hooks, drop hooks in the comments, guys. Don't forget. I've only seen a couple of comments come through. Good stuff. Okay, so you want to make video your highest converting channel in 2026. Like, get ready, start practicing now. This is the place to be. If you want to go LinkedIn Video Secrets, check that out. I highly recommend it. There's a whole bunch of binge-worthy content. Go onto my YouTube as well. I'm creating a lot of content about video at the moment. I think it's just the most powerful thing. So yeah, head over to YouTube if you want to link to any of that. Just like hit my DMs up or drop in the comments. I mean, you guys have got the framework, you've got the information, but now all that's left is action, because with all this training without execution doesn't do anything. And your audience, they're already scrolling videos. The question is, are they stopping on your video? LinkedIn, I promise you, well, I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I'm so convinced that next year they are going to push video so hard on the mobiles. I reckon that we'll be getting millions and millions of views. They tested out a video feed on a mobile device September, October last year, I believe it was. And I went from getting like 10 or 15,000 views a video to like 3 or 4 million just by following a few things. Do 2 posts a week, so you're consistent. And what was it, 2 posts a week? Make sure the videos are vertical and you want to make them 1 to 2 minute long. It didn't matter how many followers you have, and you could go viral once you get picked up in the feed, because not everyone gets picked up in the feed. Like, they don't want to show videos in there if they're not vertical. They don't want to show videos in there if you're not consistent. You think about it. Why would they want to show your video if your competitors posting twice as much? They're more reliable, and you've got to speak about a specific topic so they know who to serve the algorithm knows who to serve your content to. You don't want to be talking about too many different things in each video. Focus on what you're good at. Make sure your profile aligns with that. So LinkedIn algorithm knows what your content's about, so they know who to serve it to. Okay. All right, guys. I will see you next week on Monday Night Live. Thanks for being here. And until then, stay legendary. Thanks for watching.